The Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Zurich has been holding open days for over half a century. But the community's president, Tariq Taunutza, has rarely seen as many visitors as he has today. He answers questions about Sharia law, about forced marriages and jihad. On November the 29th, the Swiss will vote whether or not to ban the construction of minarets on new mosques. And everyone's talking about it.
There's a certain ignorance there, and it's clearly our duty to dispel myths. Perhaps there's something positive about this negative initiative, in that we can clarify what Islam is. The fact that people want to learn more might be the positive thing in all this.
Zurich's Mahmud Mosque is the oldest in Switzerland and is one of just 4 minarets to be found in the country. The organisers of the referendum to ban minarets want to make sure no more are built. The message of their campaign is clear. They regard minarets as a symbol of political and religious claims to power, not a religious sign. And it's spelled out by politicians from the right-wing Swiss People's Party, like Ulrich Schlur.
First of all, it should be said, there's no mention of minarets in the Quran. Minarets serve no religious function. Interestingly, the minaret came to the fore when, for example, the Ottomans conquered Constantinople. The first thing they did was to erect minarets on the most important Christian churches of the conquered Byzantine Empire, as symbols of victory, to show that now there's another regime, another order. It was a purely political symbol.
These people in front of the parliament in Bern certainly don't look like they're planning a takeover. And religion experts say Switzerland's 400,000 Muslims are quite assimilated. Lawyers warn that the initiative also violates the country's constitutional freedom of religion. But the 110,000 signatures collected persuaded a majority in parliament to allow the referendum to take place. These included Daniel Jossitz, a social democrat from Zurich and one of the fiercest opponents of the initiative to ban minarets.
It's a borderline case as to whether this referendum violates the Constitution or not, whether or not it should be permitted. I think it would have been possible not to permit it, but I believe when there's doubt, the people's right to self-determination should have priority, and they should decide. I'm convinced the Swiss will make the right decision and reject the initiative.
The Swiss hold lots of referendums. Currently in Zurich, voters are being asked to decide on issues such as arms exports, aviation fuel taxes and height restrictions on townhouses. Yet it's the question of whether to ban minarets that's got everyone talking.
If we go to a foreign country, we assimilate.
And the minaret is the symbol that needs banning?
I'm not so bothered. But if more and more of them are built, it gets to be too much, doesn't it?
If you ban minarets now, in a year people will be banning something else. It's not the right way. The discussion is good, but I'm not in favor of bans.
I find the debate embarrassing, and I know how I'm going to vote. It'll be to let them build minarets. Churches have steeples and bells that ring on Saturday nights. This is another matter, one that's not related to radicalism and the like. I think it's a question that involves freedom of religion.
For Giuseppe Ney, the former president of Switzerland's Federal Supreme Court, there's no question about it. Freedom of religion is a basic human right. He says direct democracy is generally a good thing, but not in all cases.
The problem is that the federal court isn't authorized to rule on whether a nationwide referendum is valid or not. It can rule on canton-wide referendums, but not national ones. The parliament is really the highest authority, and that is a loophole in our rule of law.
A counter-campaign promoting freedom of religion has been started. Its motto is "The heavens over Switzerland are big enough." Still, at the end of the day, the mood is a mixed one at the Mahmud Mosque.
It's depressing to learn the kinds of feelings people here have about us. And I think there's also uncertainty. So easing these fears is difficult. This has started a fire that's going to be hard to put out.
People here hope the Swiss will reject the initiative to ban minarets. Recent polls suggest they will, with a healthy majority. But what exactly is a healthy majority where basic human rights are concerned?